Hi, lovies. Welcome back to World History 101. We said that in our last video, we were going to pick up with the death of Genghis Khan. And we said that after Genghis Khan's death, his empire split into four parts. And those four parts were divided into Chagatai, Golden Horde, which is located in Russia, the Ilkhanate, which is located in Persia, and the Yuan Dynasty, which is located in China. So we're going to start with the Yuan, Y-U-A-N, dynasty of China, and that dynasty is associated with Kublai Khan. So K-H-U-B-I-L-A-I, Kublai Khan, K-H-U-B-I-L-A-I, Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan reigns as Great Khan from 1264 to 1294, and this is during the Mongol Empire's apex, their high point. He's responsible, Kublai Khan is responsible for uniting the Mongols in China. This is Genghis Khan's grandson, and we know that he's responsible for uniting the Mongols in China. Kublai Khan is a ruthless warrior, but he also takes interest in cultural matters, and he definitely works to improve the welfare of his subjects. He's a very tolerant ruler. He tolerates the practice of Buddhism, Taoists, Muslims, and Christians within his empire. Kublai Khan extends Mongol rule to all of China. So he viciously attacks southern China. He moved his capital to Beijing, and he established the Yuan, Y-U-A-N dynasty. The Mongols as a whole treated the Chinese, the ethnic Chinese, as inferior, but this doesn't stop Chinese cultural expression. The Mongols, not only do they treat the Chinese as inferior, the ethnic Chinese as inferior, they don't approve of marriage between the Mongols and the Chinese. They forbid the Chinese to learn the Mongol language. And Mongols are always going to hold a dominant position in the Yuan dynasty. The Yuan dynasty also removes the importance of the Confucian civil service exam. Remember, those civil service exams were producing civil servants for Chinese government. Let's talk about Marco Polo. Marco Polo. So Marco Polo is a Venetian, Venetiin. Venetian means that he's from Venice, like Venice, Italy. So Marco Polo is a Venetian traveler who works on Kublai Khan's court, and he documents the relationship between the Mongols and the ethnic Chinese. He notes that the Chinese resent the Mongols because of their inferior treatment. Marco Polo also notes that the Mongol state protected its people against famine. It tried to maintain order. It provided health care for the sick, the elderly, and orphans. Marco Polo praises Kublai Khan for his generosity toward the poor. He also praises Kublai Khan for his effort to construct roads throughout the empire. Roads are going to help us increase our trade. So that's a good thing. And remember, Yuan Dynasty, China. Golden Horde, Russia. Golden Horde, H-O-R-D-E, represents the Mongol tribe that controls Russia from the 13th to 15th centuries. They don't actually occupy Russia because they felt that the forest area was unattractive, but they are willing to collect tribute or taxes from the Russian cities and the agricultural provinces. The Golden Horde maintained their authority in Russia from like 1237 to the mid 1400s, so like mid 15th century. Let's talk about the Mongol Ilkhanate. So the Mongol Ilkhanate is the Persian state. My crown fell. Keep your crown on, sis. All right, Mongol Ilkhanate in Persia. This is like a sign that I should have stopped filming on a Saturday after I filmed like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos already. I'm tired. I've lost my light. Like, I should have just stopped. And then my crown fell. This is my last one for the day. I'll do 15 another day. Bloopers. Mongol Ilkhanate in Persia. So the Mongol Ilkhanate is the Mongol state that rules Persia after the destruction of the Abbasid Empire in 1258. That's all I really need you to know. Cool about that. The Mongols are excellent warriors. We've already said they're not good administrators, so they lose most of their territory within a century of acquiring it, gaining it. They adopt very different tactics in the different lands they ruled. In Persia, the Mongol and the allies occupy the highest administrative positions, but allow the Persians to run the Ilkhanate as long as they maintain order and deliver tax receipts. Over time, the Mongols start to use Persian cultural traditions. Over time, Mongols start to convert to Islam. Cool. All right, let's talk about Mongol and Eurasian integration. So Mongol policies encourage interaction among people of different Eurasian societies. It encouraged trade, travel, and communication. Even immigrating, like they bring people to new lands. For example, Genghis Khan created a courier, C-O-U-R-I-E-R, a courier network to deliver news. Information, government orders. It's real similar to the relay station system that we talked about with Darius of Persia. Under the Mongols, long distance trade is going to become less dangerous and less risky, which means if trade is less dangerous and less risky, trade is going to, like the trade levels are drastically going to increase. And that's what happens. So trade increases under the Mongols because it's safer. Eurasian trade routes not only service the merchants, but they're also used by diplomats and missionaries. The Mongol Khans use diplomatic embassies that deal with Korea, Vietnam, India, and even Western Europe. The Sufi missionaries, again, the importance of trade routes, the Sufi missionaries are going to help spread Islam along these trade routes. Okay, now I think my battery is getting ready to die. There's also another aspect in which we see benefits of Eurasian integration, and that's going to be the relocation of conquered people and allies to fill specialized labor or skills that are needed in different parts of the empire. So again, it's just encouraging Eurasian interaction by increasing communication and exchange between people of different societies. Decline of the Mongols in Persia and China. So after the reign of Kublai Khan, the Mongols are having difficulty governing Persia and China. In Persia, excessive spending is happening from the treasury. There's over-exploitation of the peasants that's leading to a decreased revenue. The Ilkhanate collapses in 1335. They had no heir to the throne. They were overextended financially, and they were fighting amongst themselves. You've also got Mongol decline in China in the Yuan Dynasty. They had financial problems just like the Ilkhanate of Persia, and they also experienced infighting like the Ilkhanate of Persia. Part of this infighting thing is based on the nomadic traditions of the steppe people of Central Asia. So most of the times, if you're dealing with Central Asian nomads, there's not going to be a clear path to succession. It's going to be like this bloody bid for succession, like amongst brothers, like it's a bloody all-out civil war. So this is what's happening in the Yuan Dynasty. So they experience infighting like the Ilkhanate. They're plagued by power struggles and civil war. But most importantly, they have to deal with an epidemic known as the bubonic plague. Bubonic plague is an epidemic, B-U-B-O-N-I-C. Bubonic plague is an epidemic that spreads throughout Eurasia. It causes devastating population loss, and it causes economic disruption. It's known as Black Death in Europe after 1350 CE. Trade, ironically, is actually going to help spread the bubonic plague. Mongols in China, in addition to bubonic plague, Mongols in China are having to deal with rebellion from the ethnic Chinese people that they had treated so poorly. So in 1368, we're going to see the Mongols eventually be pushed out of China, and the Ming, M-I-N-G dynasty takes over. After the fall of the Mongols, the Turks emerge with force. So the late 14th and early 15th century, we have a Turkish conqueror named Tamerlane, Tamerlane. Tamerlane emerges and he builds his Central Asian empire. Tamerlane's empire involves three surviving Turkish Muslim states: the Mughal Empire in India, the Safavids of Persia, and the Ottoman Empire of Anatolia. He's known as Timur the Lame because he became lame after sustaining an injury in battle. Tamerlane is an important Turk because he patterns himself after Genghis Khan. He patterns himself as a conqueror, as a warrior, which means he's not a great administrator. So yeah, he leads his armies on all of these campaigns of conquest. Yeah, he conquers lots of Western Asia. He takes over much of the Middle East. He conquers Delhi and he conquers Baghdad, but he's not able to hold on to any of this territory really because he's not an administrator. He fails to create an imperial administration. He rules through tribal leaders who were his allies, and after his death, his empire declined due to succession fights amongst his sons and grandsons. As a result, his empire was divided into four parts. So the Mughal, Safavid, and Ottoman empires replaced the Great Timurid Empire, and they carry out that legacy of Turkish Islamic empires. So we said at the onset of like the Turks and Tamerlane, we said that he was going to influence the Safavids, Mughals, and the Ottomans. Let's talk about briefly the foundations of the Ottoman Empire. So the Ottoman Empire is founded by a guy named Osman, O-S-M-A-N. Osman is leader of the Ottoman Empire in northwest Anatolia during the 13th and 14th centuries. By the 1380s, the Ottomans are the most powerful people on the Balkan Peninsula. And by the 1440s, they've expanded into the Byzantine army. Mehmed, not to be confused with Mahmud of Ghazni in India. Mehmed is M-E-H-M-E-D. M-E-H-M-E-D. Mehmed II, he's the person who takes Constantinople. 1453, he sacks or takes Constantinople, and he later conquers the rest of the Byzantine Empire. We also know that he's going to change the name of the capital from Constantinople to Istanbul. And if you know Carmen Sandiego, you know that song she used to sing. Istanbul is Constantinople. Istanbul is Constantinople. I was going to be Carmen Sandiego when I grew up. And hey, I teach geography now for a living, so go figure. All right, lovies, that is the conclusion of chapter 14, Nomadic Empires and Eurasian Integration. I hope you enjoyed this very problematic recording of the second part of chapter 14. Have a great day, and I love you unconditionally. Bye.